Hello everyone, welcome to the Nobody Cares newbie lesson, and today we further speak about classes and especially about the Cryomancer. The Cryomancer is the first basic damage dealer class you get as player. Just as in the other cases, just because it's a basic class it doesn't mean it's a bad class. It can be even be an awesome class for some tasks, and we will go over the skills. Then we go over the advantages and the disadvantages, and then we go over some combos. So let's start with the skills. For starters, we have the left click. The left click is just a basic attack that throws a little puddle of ice against the enemy. It deals more damage if the enemy is below 50% health. It has a 6% chance to grant you an effect that allows you to throw a meteor that is improve its stats like more damage and 100% crit chance. The right click has two instances. The first is the Ice Dawn, where you just throw the thing with a short click on the right mouse button. This thing just deals damage and activates the impulse charge. The other thing is the Ice Dart, where you can hold your right mouse button pressed and then throw it at an enemy. It deals 3 times as much damage against shield, applies a dot effect on the enemy, and also it applies an effect on enemies when they have 3 layers of superstension, cryo suspension. They get knocked down and you apply an effect on them that slows them down. So the next thing is your meteor. Your meteor is a ice stony thing you throw from above. It does AoE damage and applies a cooling effect to the enemy that reduces the movement speed. The second thing is the Crystal Shield. The Crystal Shield is different from the Lightbinder or the Paladin Shields. It doesn't guarantee your shield absorbs damage per se in a certain amount of your health. It just reduces every damage you get by 80%. Also, every target that attacks you in a 5-meter radius, so speaking in a melee range, gets applied a cooling effect that slows them down. The third ability on your 3 is Glacial Fangs. It's in a cone-shaped area in front of you, dealing damage and freezes enemies in places, makes them vulnerable, and they can't do anything. So next is the Cryo Beam. The Cryo Beam is a beam. It's targeted at an enemy and hits everything in its path. For the basic amount of 25 energy, it just does that. If you pay double the amount, you triple the damage, and it can, with a 50% chance, guarantee you an effect that allows you to throw improve it and strengthen it right clicks, and that are just short right clicks, no charged ones. The next thing is your whiteout. Your whiteout is an area that you can select by holding down the key and moving the area. And in that area a storm will arise full of snow and ice and such stuff, and will do damage per second and apply a cooling effect every 2 seconds to the enemies inside that area. Your V is the Jagged Edge. The Jagged Edge is an ability that is good for single target damage. You are holding down the key, and while you're doing that you are dealing damage every second to an enemy, and for that amount you are also, for 5 seconds, you rooted in place and can't move as long as you hold the key. This makes a a good ability to use it when you are out of energy, because it doesn't cost any energy, and also it allows you to basically do a good single target damage from afar. But it also has a disadvantage if you fight multiple enemies or really mobile enemies, that it can come at you while you are channeling it, so it's up to you if you actually want to use it. I would say for a single target, when you have tank, etc., it's pretty good, or if you're really sure, you can bring it through. So, the next thing is your ultimate, your R. Your R is an area in 60 meters around you that actually freezes everyone that is inside this area for 6 seconds and inflicts damage. But enemies that are stronger, like some 4x mobs and so on, aren't affected for the full duration, they have a short duration. But some big bosses are even totally immune to the effect, but they take doubles the damage from it. Your E is a normal finisher, you regain a small amount of health and you restores half of your energy back. So what is special about the Cryomancer in the first place is that his dash is different from the normal dashes. He doesn't just do a small stab to the side or a small roll to the side or back or whatever when you dash. You slide on a trail of ice. This trail of ice leaves it behind on the ground and makes it so that enemies that step on it get damage per second, and that they also gain an effect that makes them icebound, so they can actually be frozen in place. So, and now as we talked about all abilities, you can see you have plenty of effects that allow you to either freeze the enemy or allow you to slow him down. And this isn't just for crowd control effect, it's also a good damage buff for you. For example, your passive Super Curing allows you to deal 30% higher crit chance against enemies that are cooled, so they are slowed. The next thing is, if they are frozen either by icebound or by chronic suspension, you have a 50% heightened crit chance. So you can actually dish out a really great amount of critical damage against enemies that are affected by your crowd control abilities. And this also brings us to, what is this class really good at and what is this class not that good at? Well, this class is really great at doing two things: controlling controllable enemies and AoE. So the point about this is, enemy that is controllable will get more critical hits from you and so a high amount of damage. Also, you have this area of effects that you can spit down on them and clear muscles pretty good. The problem with this is, first of all, one of your abilities, like the whiteout, you can see it here, is the area on the ground. If I use it, it goes on a 40-second cooldown, and it will take a lot of time to recover it, and it's a big main part of your damage. So you need to be really sure that your enemies stay inside that circle. Enemies that are immune to your effects or have jumping abilities will probably get out of this circle, and so they will avoid the damage you are dealing. Other thing is, as you only really have strong AoE abilities, you lack the abilities to actually do a strong single target damage, especially again against targets that can't be crowd controlled. So you have to actually take in account for that. So this brings us to the conclusion. The Crymancer is really great against masses and is really great against controllable enemies, but isn't as great against bosses. Although the damage is low or something, it's just not that efficient. So, how would you actually chain abilities here to attack a group of enemies. If they are controllable, you would just dash in, so you close the gap. You freeze them with your glacial fangs. You put down your whiteout and you dash back. With that, you're dealing a good amount of damage and control this enemy and make sure the enemy stays for a certain amount of time in your whiteout. They are frozen here. They get cooled down by the whiteout himself, and if they want to follow you, they need to run through the trail of ice you leave behind by slide. For control enemies, that probably means they can't even catch up to you anyway. And also it deals a great amount of damage, like I said. If that hasn't killed them, you have the option to use your 4 for the double amount of energy. You either get or get not the effect that allows you to throw 2 times the right clicks. After you've done that, you just go to using your left mouse button to activate the Improved Meteor, that is free, and then you let it down on the enemies to do a devastating amount of damage. This will be repeat with the force, left click and the meteor until your whiteout comes back in. If the enemy is still up and you can freeze again, etc, etc. I will just show you now how I will deal with a group that is not that strong. We are dashing in, freezing, putting it, dashing out, and the enemy is dead. As you can see, it deals a great amount of AoE damage. For showing what happens if I use the 4, if you have enough energy after that, you throw it and you get this effect that allows you to strengthen it right clicks to deal a great amount of damage. While you're doing the left clicking stuff, I hope I can trigger it, you sometimes get the meteor effect, and I couldn't get it. Well, we will try again in a few seconds. So if the combo goes on and you actively trigger the effect, like I said, it's a 6% chance. You need to be a bit patient here. Now we have it. You can throw a meteor that deals way more damage and has a 100% crit chance. You can all chain that together to deal a good amount of damage. So I won't go for this one, I'll go for the other one that is even more HP. If you are fighting an enemy that can't be controlled and is probably more boss-like, you would straight out start with your whiteout, follow it by your 4 to activate the throwing stuff. After that you will throw out a meteor even if it isn't improved. You do your V to cover the time where you don't have energy and also do damage in that time, and then you go just left clicking to throw a improved meteor, and if you have it you throw it, if you don't have it don't. And now we preserve energy for throwing your 4 and for the whiteout when it comes back. So it would look like that. As you can see, the enemy now jumped out of our area of effect. Now I have the improved things and I throw it. And gather this health orbs. I throw the improved meteor. Constantly staying moving. Throwing this one again. Just you guys. Put that down. Go back again. Using this. So that kills it. But as you can see, it's not bad damage you do. It's just you need to kite a lot and you need to make sure the enemy gets back in your area of effect. When the enemy is moving like a lot and can't be CC'd, you have the actually effect that you need to be aware that you haven't the ability to always keep them inside, and that is why it's not that good against unseeable mobs or bosses. But also it doesn't make it a bad class. Sorry, I was distracted by this posting. Another thing to mention here is cache weapons. There are two types I'm aware of, and the first type that is actually available at the moment is Frosty Bloom. It changes one thing, and that is that you can actually cast the whiteout without using your resources. You gain your own resource, you can see it on the top. This resource will be used when I activate the whiteout. It will count down, and I can deactivate it on will, unlike it was before. This allows for stuff like that. You put it down, it kills the enemies, you turn it off, you go to the next group, put it down, it kills enemies, stop it again. This also has good effects if you're fighting bosses like this guy. When he is jumping around, you can just stop the effect and put it down again when he is again in an area where you can actually hit him with it. So this is really practical. The other stuff to actually notice is the Demon Heart. The Demon Heart allows you to activate a special meteor if you are able to chain 2 times the improved meteor in a row, and the third one you would throw will do 500% more damage and has more range than the normal one, but it's a really clunky mechanic and isn't that good, but it isn't a bad damage output if you can put it off. So I think that covers it for the Cryomancer. I hope you enjoyed it and have learned something. If you still have questions you know who to ask, I wish you a nice day. See